Good afternoon, Valley City State University faculty, staff, and students. Welcome to our third Artist Talk for this fall 2021 year. My name is Assistant Professor Angela Mirso, Department Chair of Art and Director of the Galleries here at Valley City State University. And we welcome you to our third Artist Talk by our double major, art education major, English education major, and teaching ELLL minor, Virginia Bauer. They will be giving their presentation of Comfort Zone in a few seconds. While you are watching this today, please feel free in Facebook and in YouTube to type in questions that come up while you are watching this presentation. At the very end of their presentation, we will take the questions and do a Q&A. We hope you will enjoy, and please again stop up at the McCarthy Galleries to see Virginia Bauer's show Comfort Zone. Virginia?
Hi, I'm Virginia, and this is my artist talk about my show Comfort Zone. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Virginia. I'm from Emerado, North Dakota. It's a small town near Grand Forks, North Dakota. I'm a double major, English education and art education. And I was never interested in art until I got to college. I didn't think I was any good at it. I couldn't even draw a stick figure very well. So when I was in my sophomore year, I decided to take a drawing class, the drawing one, and was convinced I was going to fail it because, like I said, don't have any artistic skill. And then turned out I could actually draw, and then passed it with an A and was like, I actually really like it. So then I kept taking art classes, and then a few years later I became an art major. And I decided to try it because I love trying new activities. I have tons of passions because of it. Obviously, most of them lie in English and art, but I do all different kinds of things all day long, every day, every week. And then my show is based off of my mental health conditions and the chronic pain that I deal with every day. So I have two mental health conditions. I have generalized anxiety disorder with lots of phobias. I've had it for most of my life, since around the age of 5 is my first memory of it. It comes in waves, so like some weeks I'm like really good and like can function really well, and then there's like weeks where I'm like really, really bad, and it's like a struggle to even leave my dorm room. And so some of the like first signs that I notice that it's like becoming really bad is it becomes really hard to like keep my room clean. So like I have a photo here. It just kind of shows what a declined room would look like for me. And then, I stopped taking care of myself, and homework starts getting procrastinated and maybe not turned in, kind of a situation. And I also tend to have like lots of panic attacks. I at least have one panic attack a week, especially if my mental health is bad, if not more. And the people who help me are like really great. I have my family, my friends, and then the RAs are like my greatest support systems on campus. And then I also have an eating disorder. I have ARFID, which is avoidant and restrictive food intake disorder. And I got diagnosed over the past summer, but I'm pretty sure I've had it for around 7 years because of my chronic stomach problems that I have. And because of my chronic stomach problems, I grew to have a fear of vomiting and gagging. And so that caused me to like avoid or restrict eating when I like have that feeling at all. And like it's like pretty much all the time. So. And then I deal with 2 chronic issues. So I have stomach problems, and I've had them for about 7 years. I have a hiatal hernia, which is my stomach is partially pushed up into my diaphragm. And so when I eat, it kind of feels like a knife is being stabbed into my upper stomach region. And so certain foods will flare it up. And those are like the foods that would like affect the acid. So I can't eat like chocolate or like red meat if I don't want to hurt my stomach. And then like certain medications will also affect my stomach, particularly the pain medications that I take for my migraines. So to deal with the migraines, I hurt my stomach in the process of doing that. And then my eating disorder, when I don't eat, the acid like slowly eats away at my hernia and my stomach, so then that causes me to have a ton of pain as well. And then I've had migraines for about 5 years, and I get those pretty much every single day. Back 5 years ago, they weren't as bad, but now they're like really, really bad. But I tend to get them when there's like weather, so you have like rain, snow, thunderstorms. If it's too hot, if it's too cold, if we're like changing temperatures, like those are all like major triggers. And I get a lot of like head pain, nausea, and brain fog, so I have to write literally everything down. If I don't write it down, I will completely forget that that exists. And that kind of also affects my homework because like if I don't write the due date, not going to remember that homework assignment is there. And then they normally start in the early morning, and I know that I'm going to start getting a major migraine. And, like, if you ever see me constantly yawning on campus, that's one of my major signs that a huge migraine is coming, and so that's when I start treating it with caffeine and painkillers. And then it will progress over the day. The fastest one's, like, coming in an hour. The, like, slowest one's coming in 4. And my show is named Comfort Zone because even though I have family, friends, and RAs and other people on campus, sometimes they just can't be there, so there's always just items around that like help deal with that kind of stuff. And so I have 3 photos. On the left is my picture of all the stuffed animals I have in my dorm. And they're like my greatest support here on campus because, you know, they're always there. I can bring them wherever I want, and so it really helps. And they come to doctor's appointments and stuff like that too. And then the middle is my dog, Oreo. We've had him for 9 years, and he's just a little cuddle muffin, so like he likes attention. And so when I was going through my eating disorder and going through the recovery this summer, he was like always there when I was eating and just wanting to be really helpful. And then the dog on the right is Blizzard. We just got him a couple months ago, and so I don't really know him that well, but my mom sends me videos, and so when I'm having a bad day, I like to watch him exploring the world. And then into my art, I really enjoy the technique pointillism. And this is the repetition of small dots or other shapes, it doesn't have to be dots, to create an image. And I have a little picture on the right here that's a close-up of one of my artworks, and it just kind of shows those dots, so you can kind of see that they can be anywhere that I want them to be, as close or as far away or as big or as small as I want them. And this can pretty much be done in any medium. I prefer marker and paint and tissue paper, so. And I really like pointillism because even before I was into art, my favorite like style of clothing and everything was polka dots. So when I saw the pointillism in one of my art classes, I was like, I need to like do this because polka dots are the greatest thing in the world. And I find it really relaxing because it's very repetition based, and so I just have to know where the colors are going, and then I don't actually have to put much thought into it. It's just dotting everywhere that I need to put the color. And then like really important for me, I need to be able to work on it in bed because if I'm in a lot of pain, that's where I spend a lot of my time, and since it can be done in any medium, that makes it very accessible. And my greatest artist for inspiration for pointillism is George Seurat, and he is known for pointillism. He was one who kind of created the technique. And this was because he was interested in the science of color and how individual colors could create a single image just in close together or as far apart as you need them to be, so that's why he pursued it. And then back in his day, this was a radical technique, but he still did a lot of classical work, so I have an example here, and this is Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte. And from like far away, it doesn't look like pointillism, but I have a close-up image, and so when you look a little closer, you can kind of see all of the details that he put into it. And he was from the Post-IMPRESSIONISM era, and this was one that focused on expressing emotions and using deeper symbolism. They used simplified colors, which is kind of what George Seurat focused on, and definitive forms. And then it did lead towards abstract, but George Seurat focused again on that more classical work, so he didn't do too much abstract work. And then some of the known artists of this time are Paul Gauguin, George Seurat, Vincent van Gogh, and Paul Cézanne. And they all pretty much like worked independently, so these artists weren't known for working in like groups. I also like to work on realism. So in drawing like one, we just kind of learned to draw what we saw. And so the image on the left is from my drawing 2 class, and like in this image, there's obviously not a lot of texture, and it's just kind of basic, but that was kind of how I first got into it. And then on the right is one of my showpieces, and that's Taramjui. And I was recently able to like learn how to add texture to stuff, so now here I was able to like put that fur in there. And then in the future, I kind of hope that I can use more color tones and be able to do like the paws and the feet, because I couldn't make those like super realistic yet. And my artist of inspiration is Nicole Parrish. She is somebody that I follow on Instagram and TikTok. And she does a lot of realistic art with insects. She's autistic, so like her like passion is insects. And so she makes them like super realistic, and they kind of look like they're just there on the page. Like it looks like a real bug sitting there. And I like love that, and I love the detail she's able to put into it. So she's really definitely been an inspiration in me like wanting to create that realism. And this is her work Dragonfly that she did 2 years, or a couple of years back. And in the process of like working on pieces for my show, I found a new favorite medium, and that's tissue paper. My art methods class is like doing an after-school program, and one of my classmates taught a lesson using tissue paper to create a color wheel. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I decided that I was going to try it. Instead of, I was originally going to use pom-poms, so that was going to be the original idea, but then I ended up loving tissue paper so much that I decided to make a ton of works using it. And I liked it because it kind of had like that rug look to it, and I love working with yarn, particularly like latch hooking, which is just a type of way to like make rugs. And I just have a like little video. I'm just going to show just a little bit of it, but it's kind of how I made that process. And so I would just rip up the tissue paper, crumple it, put some glue on it, and then stick it on the page where the color belonged. And then if I struggled to like ever get the tissue paper somewhere, I would take the other end of the paintbrush and just kind of the tissue paper would hold itself on the paper and not fall off. Just a little further in. There was a lot of yellow, so most of this is the color yellow. And then my camera decided that it wasn't going to do videos anymore, so. And then just into a couple of my artworks here. This is Ducky, my Stuffie, and it's based off of my stuffed Ducky. There's a picture on the left of him. He is my favorite stuffed animal. I've had him for 10 years. He's been through pretty much everything, and he's a little dirty looking because he's been through it all. But I did this piece in marker, and it took me about 12 hours to do. Small dots are not the fastest process in the world, but I did him looking with realistic colors, and then I chose to do a purple background since yellow is, or purple is the complementary color of yellow, so it really makes the duck stand out. And out of all of the works that I've done in my show, this is my favorite piece. And then I have another close-up here to show the detail. And then this is Strawberry Milk Cow. I decided to do this one in paint, and this one took me about 16 hours. Turns out paint is longer than marker. And I had to mix it all the time. Like the background, it took 6 different times of me mixing it to get that full background, and it was a long process. I chose to do a cow because I have an extreme phobia of driving, and on my way from Emerado to Grand Forks every day that I went to work, I would pass 3 fields of cows, and they were pretty much the only thing that got me driving, because I would be like, I'm 3/4 of the way to my destination if I see these cows. And they were always out no matter what time of the day I was driving, so it was like always great to see them. And then I decided to make it pink because I didn't want to make it gray or brown, so I was like, I'm going to go with a more interesting color, and I like the color pink, so. And then here's a detailed shot, and you can definitely see the texture of the paint. In this one, I like to run my hand across it because it feels like all pokey and interesting when you do that, so it's really fun. And then this is Mr. Moo Moo. He's another one of my stuffed animals, and so I did him in tissue paper. And I didn't have the realistic colors at the time when I was first making this, so he turned out blue because I like the color blue. And I chose an orange background because orange is the complementary color of blue, so again, just kind of popping it out. And Mr. Moo Moo, I just got him like last Easter, so like he's kind of new to the family, but he's been to every doctor's appointment since, every car ride since, and we really love him, so he had to have a special spot too. And then I took some detailed shots of the tissue paper to kind of show that texture. on the left, and then on the right I did a side shot so that you could see like how far it's like popping out of the page. This was also like my greatest photography shot ever because I like struggled to blur out the background and I was very happy with it. And so yeah, that's my whole PowerPoint.
Thank you, Virginia. And now time for questions, and please type in the chat either on Facebook or YouTube, folks. And my first question is, I know you said your first favorite piece was Ducky, My Stuffie. What's your second?
My second one is one that I didn't show on here, but it's Frosting and Sprinkles. They're two more of my stuffed animals, and they're about the size of my palms, and so like I can easily carry them around campus, and so like I just love the colors too.
And then the tissue paper, just from doing an art methods assignment, just took, what is it with tissue paper? Is it just tearing it, repetition? Could you just explain more of the process?
Yeah, so I really liked having that kind of like repetition where I could do the tearing and then the squishing of it. I don't know, that was like really interesting to just be able to do that, though it ended up hurting like my finger. My fingers were really stiff. But I just like do that and then sticking it on. It was just really easy and it looked really nice. It was a lot more satisfying to like look at when I was done and as I was doing it compared to what I thought pom-poms would look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just why I liked it so much.
Would you go back and do like latch hooking with like Ducky, My Stuffie or Mr. Moo Moo just to make a latch hook rug? Just
yeah, definitely. If I could figure out how to do it, definitely.
And with your double major with English and art, what are you hoping to do in the future?
I am hoping to, my dream is to teach in Japan, but if I ever like stay in the United States, I really want to incorporate my art into teaching English because I think using art to especially teach those classics that people struggle with is a way to help them understand a lot better with pictures and other art stuff. Yeah.
And was Ducky your first stuffed animal or something else?
He was not my first stuffed animal. He was one of my first stuffed animals when we first moved to Bismarck, or to Grand Forks. I'm originally from Bismarck, and so in 7th grade, we moved halfway through the year.
Okay.
And so he was just kind of something I saw at Hobby Lobby, and I bought him.
Okay. All right. And with pointillism, is there a method into deciding how to pattern the dots? So, for example, the dots aren't in straight lines in your work. Is that an intentional decision? And how do you decide?
It is intentional because I don't like the straight lines. I can't make straight lines for the life of me. So I typically like just take a section and dot around the outside of that section, and then I just start dotting at random points towards the outside and work my way in. Was there a second part of that question? Because if there was, I forgot.
And how do you decide?
I just decide by doing it. I just kind of go as I flow, you know.
That repetition of keeping the dot, because I remember in drawing 3 that marker piece you did of Ducky, My Stuffie. That 12 hours you said?
Yeah, it took about 12 hours. It was a long time.
And that's your biggest piece, the 18 by 24?
It is the same size as the strawberry milk cow, so those are both my biggest pieces, yep.
And how many stuffed animals are in your collection on campus?
On campus, I have a total of 8, but I have a lot more at home.
And you usually keep the special ones here on campus, or is it vice versa?
I keep the special ones here with me, other than like the big gigantic ones, because those ones are kind of hard to transfer to and from home and dorm. But all the small ones, they come with me if they hold like a special spot in my heart.
And just as much as with your work, like saying it's in the palm of your hand, it's in the sense the same as in your show. They're very small, like miniature, very almost comforting. And in a sense, this gets into the next question. What made you want to use your comfort zone into your art?
I wanted to do that because those are like the things that bring me joy. So when I look at the art, because since they all hold a special spot in my heart, the art just makes me so happy when I'm looking at it because of all of that. And so it was a joy to make. And then I represent my favorite things in life so then everybody else can also see things that hold that special spot.
Special spot. And do you attempt to make, going back to the pointillism discussion, do you attempt to make the shapes the same size or different size in pointillism, like with the dots, or do you just try with very minute miniature?
It kind of depends on like which parts I'm working on, because like for the most part I try to keep the dots like the same size. But on my strawberry milk cow, I made the tail with a lot smaller of dots because I kind of wanted to give it like the look of hair. But so if you go look at it, you'll see that that has a lot smaller dots, but the rest of it is all relatively the same.
Same. And just with going back to Surat, who was one of your first inspiration, which class was that you saw that in? Just out of curiosity.
To be honest, I think it was high school that I first saw him. But at the time I wasn't interested in art, so it like didn't hit that spot. And then it was one of my art history classes that I saw him again.
Okay. Good old art history.
Yep.
Is there a favorite medium that's like your go-to, that if that was the one thing you wanted with you at all time, what is your favorite?
Right now it's going to be tissue paper. Absolutely.
So you'll be going to the different party stores and just grabbing bulk tissue paper?
Yep.
Are you hoping to do a larger scale tissue paper? I know they're a little small, but...
Yeah, I'm hoping to do my duck again in a large scale. The small ones took me about 5 hours to do. Okay. So I'm like a little like I need time to be able to do it. And then the backgrounds for those like tiny ones took 3.5 sheets of tissue paper. So I'm definitely going to need a lot more tissue paper to make a giant scale.
Yeah. And with the movement of just like pointillism and doing the tissue paper, it just took from what you talk with your mental health, of how it just took it away, of with tying it back with the comfort zone.
Yeah, it kind of just would help like ease my mind. It was something to focus on. And when I don't have something to focus on, that's kind of when my mind like goes everywhere in every direction.
And do you find yourself with, same with tissue paper or markers, like a certain color that's like, I have to have that?
Typically, you'll find one of 4 colors in all of my work, and it's either purple, pink, light blue, or gray.
Or gray. Interesting color choices.
Yeah, I really like those colors. Most of the time, I like the pastel versions of all of them because, you know, I like cutesy things, so.
Would you ever make your own stuffed animal?
Yes, I'm actually learning to crochet right now, and so I'm hoping in like the next 6 months that I'll be able to do some amigurumis, and because my friend Rachel teaches me how to do it, and she's really good at making those, so.
And what advice would you give to any of the art students here at VCSU?
I would just give them, you know, try new things. You never know what you're gonna enjoy for a medium. You might find that you have a passion for something else that you didn't even think of until you try it.
And because I know you didn't declare your art education major till, was it last year?
Yeah, it was like a year and a half ago.
Wow. It's amazing how you switch from, because I remember you back in Art 110, Intro to Art, and going through the process of art and then coming back and seeing you like, oh, I'm going to be an art minor, and then I'm going to be in art education.
Yep.
How do you enjoy the process of just evolving as a student here?
I love it a lot. I tell people all the time that if I could get every major, I would get every major because I just love learning so much. But of course, I'm going to go with the things that I have the most passion for.
And would you even say that to non-majors who are just like on the fence, like, I don't know if I want to take an art class? Because I know when you first took Intro to Art, you were not an art major at all. You were just, I'm here to take the class for general education. And then you took it, and then you took Drawing 1. What do you tell to a non-art major who are just like, I don't know about this class?
Again, I would say just try it. Over my college career, I've taken 6 or 7 classes that have had nothing to do with my major. or minors. And so I just took them just to take them to see if I would like it. And if I ended up not liking it, it was still a great experience to learn that I didn't like that topic.
And that's kind of important, I think, as a student for learning,
Yeah.
especially. What techniques are you hoping, I know you said you're hoping to take with the English and art and tying it together. Can you explain a little further to us, like what kind of process you would hope to share back of tying art and English together?
One of the things when I was in high school that one of my teachers did is they had us do like comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something that I would really love to like tie in and have my students just create small comics about all the classics that we read so that they show that they're understanding what's going on.
And I know with this journey you've gone through, especially within your mental health, I'm proud of you being very open with it. Would you be open to do like another show in the future of still talking with your journey with your mental health, or would you do something completely different?
I would probably still talk about my mental health. I personally don't think it's going to go away in any short time period. So it's definitely going to be with me for many, many years to come.
And then, have you considered art therapy for yourself or a possible career path, given how much you find comfort in art?
I have, but I don't know if therapy is something that I want to personally go into.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer doing the teaching to other people. So.
And I know you said you want to travel to Japan, and I know you've talked about that to myself when we've advised before. Is there any other spot around the world that's like, I want to make sure to go here?
I definitely want to go to South Korea.
Okay.
And Iceland.
Ooh.
Are the other two that are like on the top of my list.
Are you hoping right after graduating from VCSU? I know you have to student teach in the spring, so.
I'm planning to go get my master's first. I just want to get that and get it out of the way so that I actually get it because it's a dream of mine, and then I would like to go travel after that.
Do you have a dream job, like a dream teaching position?
My dream teaching position would be to be a professor somewhere in Japan.
Ooh. I'll have to travel over or do like a exchange program. That sounds exciting because you always tied in a little bit back with Japan with the art and even talking of the different languages. Because how many languages do you now know, Virginia?
Like fluently I know Spanish. Japanese and Korean are up there, and then I know about 10 other languages at more of a beginner to intermediate level.
Mm-hmm. That's the love of learning. When I met you first time, it's been 4 years. Wow. Of just your love of learning. It just was like, wow, of how much you just took, even in art and just in all your classes. You're like a sponge.
Yeah.
And I really hope you keep continuing doing that, even going out into the professional field. So you're hoping master's, would you go get your PhD?
I haven't fully decided if I want a PhD. Okay. I don't know if I'm willing to go to school that long quite yet, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about.
And is there any other technique you've been wanting to try, but you haven't had a chance here at VCSU?
One of the things that I would like to learn the most is glass blowing. I love how it looks, and it's something that I would love to try, but obviously not something here.
Not here. If you go to Italy, or that's been a favorite part for myself is glass blowing. Be careful, because you can get burned. I have done glass, not trying to take from this talk, but no, you have to watch with the protective gear, but no, the blowing of the glass and even just seeing you really don't have control over when you go into the fire.
Yeah, I've seen it on they have a Netflix show that kind of has a competition, and the way that glass is just so sensitive, it's just so amazing to watch.
And then any advice to any upcoming seniors getting ready to do VCSU art seniors who are getting ready to do their shows? What are you hoping?
First of all, don't procrastinate your works. That was a bad decision. Was kind of doing 5 of them on the last week, so it was just constant doing it. And then, you know, also just practice. Practice makes it a little easier.
And where are you student teaching, or have you got that finalized?
My goal is hopefully in my hometown, Emerado,
Okay.
but we won't find out for sure till December 1st.
Okay. And then are you hoping, well, I know you'll be back to walk in May for graduation. Are you hoping to at least come back a little bit before May to see the new building?
I hope so, yeah.
Because it's a big part of campus right now. You can't...
Yeah, I'm like so sad I won't get to like actually have a class in it.
You can always come up on the weekends to go take a class. No, that's a lot of driving back and forth.
Yeah, definitely not going to drive 2 hours. Like, I'm going to need a family member for that.
Yes, no. Let me see if any other... So rugs, latch hooking, tissue paper. I think that's the one thing I did have one question. You used, I know you have said like basic materials, markers, crayons before, and sometimes paint and tissue paper. Do you find yourself being different since you're using, sometimes people would call it, it's not the fancy art. Like, here's oil paints, here's watercolor, but here you are using something you can go to the store, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, or the dollar store and pick up very easily. It's readily available. Do you find yourself any different with that, or just using ready, sustainable materials out there?
I don't think it like makes me any different. You know what I mean? I've never used like even fancy colored pencils. I've never used any of those before, so like I don't even know the difference between them. I've heard they're better, but like I've just used what I've had, Crayola and Crazy Art. So,
which even though you're using just Crayola, just the basic materials, they're still making beautiful artworks that get into the content you're talking about, and that it's kind of important that you don't have to get always the high-end materials sometimes to make your statement known.
Yeah, I think it like shows like how accessible art can be too, because you don't need the fancy supplies to make art. You can just get the basic supplies.
And that gets into sustainability of how we tried with the earth of making sure we're not polluting it. If we think of how much paper and materials sometimes we use, just as much as tissue paper, you could almost use recycled paper to do some of those. Have you thought about doing that for future projects?
I have, and like I've thought about like doing stuff on like newspapers and other stuff like that I can find just around.
Which is kind of important. We don't want to lose that. So, looks like... And I guess my last question, was there a piece in your show that was so frustrating to make?
Strawberry Milk Cow was extremely frustrating to make because, like I said, I had to mix a lot. So every time I had to restart a mix, I had to make sure it was the exact same color that I'd done before, because when the dots are like not next to each other, you can really tell the difference between those like two shades. So I'm like, I have to have it pretty much exactly the same, and it was kind of a pain to do. And then of course, like when I was doing the dots, I had to keep wiping off the end of my paintbrush because every time I put paint on it, it would like slowly dry and become bigger and bigger. And so if I didn't wipe it off, the dots weren't the same size.
Frustrating.
Yep, it was very frustrating.
Because I remember in painting one, just remixing over and over. Yes.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Are you hoping, I know with your pointillism, you just did the individual dots, coming right back for another question real quick. But with George Seurat's work, he put a lot of it layers on top of each other. Would you try doing do another piece like that, or would you just keep it like, this is my style, I want to keep to my style?
I definitely want to try it in the future. I just don't know if I'm quite like at that skill level yet. So like it's gonna be as something maybe when I grow a little bit more.
Which I understand, and hope you get a chance to take glass blowing. I highly, highly recommend. I did do paper weight mold making back. It's been a while. But do get a chance, and definitely, if you get a chance to see George Seurat's pieces in person, it's worth.
Definitely.
In Chicago, it's breathtaking. It's not the same when you look on it on a Google image.
Yeah.
But it looks like doing a last run through. If there's any other questions, folks, please put a last call for Virginia. And you're getting a lot of thank yous of just being open, especially with your mental health journey. And again, thank you for sharing that process.
Yeah.
And just want to give everybody a last minute chance. And again, thank you for taking the art classes and taking that jump back 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I guess my last question, this is my last question, I promise. Is there a class you wish you could have taken here that you did not get a chance to take?
I do wish I didn't get to take printmaking, and I do wish that I got to take it. I also wish I could have taken ceramics too, because I really enjoyed taking ceramics 1. So
you can still, wherever you go get your master's degree, look to see if they have an art program.
Okay.
That's something, when you're looking to get a master's, sometimes you just look just within the major field, but then also if you're interested in art, see if they have like a master's in art, and you can take a class or two.
Okay.
So that's something of advice as here on this Artist Talk. And it looks like we have no more questions. Again, Virginia, thank you for sharing your journey with us within art and your mental health journey. And thank you again for being here at VCSU. It's very important, and just of how much students can do here at VCSU of being a double major and not to be afraid of it.
Yep.
I guess that would be one thing, is just don't be afraid to try something new, and thank you for your journey.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other last comments you want to make, Virginia, before?
I just want to say thanks to everybody who's listening. I was really nervous, so I hope everybody liked it, and come see me at 4:30 to 5:30 up on McCarthy 3rd floor, so I'm not standing there alone.
Yes, so please, folks, again, thank you, Virginia, and folks, please come up this afternoon at 4:30 to 5:30 on McCarthy 3rd floor. There is going to be cookies and punch. Please stop by to thank Virginia. Please sign the guest book to make comments about their artwork. It's very important to our students, as this is their journey through 4 years of their capstone. And again, thank you all for tuning in. Please follow and like us on Facebook and on Instagram. And Virginia's show, Comfort Zone, will be up through next Friday. So if you don't get a chance today, but please do come up. We love to see people. We will be socially distanced. And yes, if you need to wear a mask, it's perfectly fine. No judgment. But please do stop by. And if you can't make it, I understand. But do try to come up before next Friday. And after next Friday, Virginia will be taking down their show. And we will have our second senior, Kayla Tribble, for Fruit Delights, and her artist talk will be on December 2nd at 1 o'clock, same live stream event. And she will also have a reception from 4:30 to 5:30, so we look forward again for all you to tune in, and we're almost finished in McCarthy as we get ready to move into the new Center for the Arts building with art and music, and we look forward to seeing you all here in McCarthy, here at VCSU campus, and also into the new building for the Center for the Arts. So again, to everyone who is tuning in, thank you for taking the little bit of time out today to listen in to this awesome artist talk, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon. Go Vikings!